Jai Ho. Sam Sharadavam Nalalida Loka Trahanaya Karuna Gana Ganatvam Sam Saradavam Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karunya Gana Ganatam Praptasya Kalana Gurunana Vasa Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Praptasya Kalana Gurunana Vasa Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam 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 Mahaprabhu ki Tananita Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasurasenam Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingaratanama Niramajanado Shri Vigrahara Jukta Savaktam Sa Niyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasadam Satvanatruptan Harivakta Shangam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasadam Satvanatruptan Kridvaivatrupti Bhajato Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Shiradikama Vabayarapara Madhurya Lila Gunarupanamno Shiradika Madhurya Lila Gunarupanamno Pratikshana Danalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Ne kunja yono ratikeli sidhai Yali bhir jukti apekshaniya ne kunja yono ratikeli sidhai Tatra tidacha Ativalabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Sakshadaritena Shamasta Shashrain Ruktastathava Vyataeva Sadhavi Sakshadari Pintu Prabhuja Priyaeva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Yasya prasada Bhagavat prasada Yasya prasadan Nagati kutapi Yasya Yasya prasadan Dayam stuvam tasya Yasatri sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Nama O Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama O Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Swami Nitina Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shanavadi Pachata Deshata Vine Sarasvati Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shanavadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Yaraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama, Jadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha, Hare Gopal Govinda Ram Srimadu Sudam, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Om Vishnu Paramahansa Prabhu Jagacharya Astuttara Saraswati Maharaj Divine Grace Abhachar Vina Bhakti Viranta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Pratishta Vividi Samstha Bhakacharya Vaishnava Siromani Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patita Udhari Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhattana Gunata Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Guna Sargo Swami Prabhu Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Prem Se Koho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Jai Param Dayal Se Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Prema Nama Sankirtan Eka Janaka Prema Purushottam Shri Sachinandan Shriman Gauranga Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Mavrana Avatari Ki Jai Golokera Pramadhani Nam Sankirtan Yaga Ki Jai Yoga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Brihap Nidanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakupna Radha Kund Syama Kunda Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Brajapum Vrindavan Mathur Dham Ki Jai Deloship Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai इस मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय परम करुण श्री गौर निताय की जय श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु स्मस्पत्र देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन कर सिंहरे भगवान की जय श्री राम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जी की जय जगंगा माय जमुना माय की जय तुलसी देवी महारानी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय श्री मथुरा रानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौरी प्रमानंदे हरि बोल all glories to the assembly bodies all glories to the assembly bodies all glories to the assembly bodies all glories all glories all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Pralada Lada Daine.
Pralada Lada Daine.
Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha.
Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha.
Shilatankanakalaye.
Shilatankanakalaye.
Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimo.
Ito Nisimha Parato Nisimha.
Yato Yato Yamitato Narsimha.
Yato Yato Yamitato Nisimha.
Bahir Nisimo Hridaye Nisimo.
Bahir Nisimo Hridaye Nisimo.
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye.
Tavakara Kamalavari Nakam Abhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Tavakara Kamalavari Nakam Abhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Kesavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Jaya Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev.
Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev.
Jai Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Shri Shri Bhakti Pada Sarvigna Karni Singare Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Shrestha Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Gurari Pramanande. Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai.
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha.
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha.
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bhilashi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bilasi.
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bhilashi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Bilasi.
Je tomara sharana loy tara vancha purana hoy
Jito Mara Sharanala Tarabancha Purna.
kripa kori koro tare Vrindavan vasi
Tumi kripa kare kara tore Vrindavanavasi.
Morae abhilash bilas kunje diyo vas
Moraya Vilas Kunja Diyava.
nayane harivo sada jugal ruparasi
Aminayane Ribosada Jugalaru Parasi.
এই নিবেদনা ধারো সাখির অনুগাতা করো
Ei Nivedamagara Sakiranugata Koro.
সেবাধিকারা দিয়ে করো নিজার दासी
सेवाया दे करो दिए करो दासी
दीना कृष्ण दासी कोई ये जीना मोरा होए
दीना कृष्ण दास कौन है ये नाम
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा जीना भासी
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा जीना भासी
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेम सदा
यानी कानी च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रनाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
कानि कानि सा पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि सा तानि तानि प्रनाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रनाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
कानि कानि सा पापानि ब्रह्मत्यादिकानि सा तानि तानि प्रनाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol,
हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल जय वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय
Jai. Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namo. Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namo. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satabhataye Namo Namaha. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. O Tulsi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you as wishes fulfilled, bestow myself on him, you make me resident of you now. My desire is that you also give me a residence where you grow, Shri Radha. As within my vision, I will always behold beautiful past unto Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of our dances of life. Please give me a privilege to bless my service and make me your only my servant. This very fallen and lowly servant Krishna prays. May I always sing of Shri Radha Govinda, Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shreya Karvachandrika Vidya Vadhu Jeevanam Ananda Vimanam Patipadam Gunamata Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Jai Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namakari Vavdhani Jasava Shaktis Tatra Pitani Tasmaranina Kala Itadrisi Tabaki Krishna. Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life or repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we always are anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds, millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There is not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a lord and straw in his street, one should be more tolerant on his tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer our respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other have fallen in this ocean of birth and death.
Please
Please bring me out from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, why will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? Or will my voice choke up? I will the hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years and more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he should remain so. Even if it hinders me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Vijay.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantaraj ki jai.
10 offenses.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
There are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that must be avoided. They are as follows. 1. Blaspheming the devotees who dedicate their lives to forgetting the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods are Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literatures and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are often Vedas as fruitive activity karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even of understanding so many instructions. It was so an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desired trees, they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yatam vayaditaratas chatirasvabhigya swara.
Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye Niyakiyat Suraya.
Tenne Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye Mojanteja Suraya. Tejo Varimrita Jata Vinimayo Jatra Trisargam Nusya. Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva,
O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva,
O all-pervading personality of Godhead,
O all-providing personality of Godhead,
offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth,
I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute
and
truth
the primeval cause of all causes.
and the primeval cause of all causes,
creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes.
of the creation, sustenance, destruction of the manifested
He
universes.
is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations.
He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations.
And he is independent because there's no other cause beyond him.
And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him.
It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji.
It is she only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of
The
Brahmaji,
original living being.
the original living being.
By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion.
By him even the great sages and demigods are placed into
As one is
illusion.
bewildered by the illusory representations.
As one is bewildered by illusory
Of water, sin, and
representations
fire, land, sin, and water.
of water, and the fire, of land, and the water.
Only because of him do the material universes,
Only because of him do the material universes,
temporarily manifested by the reaction to the three modes of nature,
temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of nature,
appear factual although they are unreal.
appear factual although they are unreal.
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna,
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri
who
Krishna,
is eternally existent in the transcendental abode,
which is eternal existence in the transcendental
which is
abode,
forever free from the illusory representations of the material world.
which is forever free from the illusory
I
representation of
meditate
material
upon
world.
him, for he is the absolute truth.
I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Dharma Pujita, Kaitrugocha,
Dharma Pujita Kaitabutra,
Paramo Nimatsaranam Satam,
Paramo Nirmasaranam
Vedyam
Satam,
Vastavam Atra Vastu,
Vedyam Vastavam Astra Vastu,
Shivadam Tapa Trayon Mulanam,
Shivadam Tapo Trayo Mulanam,
Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamani,
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamani,
Kim Vapurer Ishwaraha,
Vaparishvaraha,
Sadyo Hridaya Varudyate Tra,
Sadyorudya Varidya
Kriti
Titra,
Bihi Sususubhistakshana,
Kritivhi Shushu Suvistatyana,
completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially
This
motivated.
Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth,
This Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth,
which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure.
The
in heart.
highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
The highest truth is the reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare
Such
of
truth
all.
uproots the threefold miseries.
Such truth uproots the threefold miseries.
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by Krishna Vyasadeva in maturity
is sufficient in itself for God realization.
It's sufficient itself for God realization.
What is the need of any other scripture?
What is the need of the other scripture?
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam,
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of
by this
Bhagavatam,
culture of knowledge,
by this culture
the
of
Supreme Lord
knowledge,
is established within his heart.
the Supreme Lord is established within his
Nigama
heart.
kalpataror galitam phalam,
Nigama kalpatoror galitam phalam,
sukhamukha amrita dravya samyatam,
sukhamukhad amrita drava sangitam,
pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam,
pibata bhagavatam rasamarayam,
muhur ahoraska bhuvibhavaka.
muhura hura sikha bhuvi bhavaka.
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam,
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam,
the mature fruit of the desired true Vedic literatures.
the mature fruit, the desired tree of Vedic literature.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore, this food has become even more tasteful.
Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all,
Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all,
including liberated souls.
including liberated souls.
Shinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Shramvatam Swakata Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtana,
Punya Shravana Kirtana,
Hridyantaksto hi abhadrani,
Vidyantasto hi abhadrani,
Vidunoti suhitsatam.
Vidu noti surit satam.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures,
To hear about Krishna from the Vedic
or to
literature,
hear from directly through the Bhagavad Gita,
or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita,
is itself righteous activity.
it is self-righteous activity.
And for one who hears about Krishna,
And for one who hears about Krishna,
Lord Krishna is dwelling in everyone's heart,
Lord Krishna is dwelling within everyone's
acts
heart.
as a best wishing friend, and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
Acts as the best wishing friend and prefer the devotees who completely engage in hearing of him.
Astapresu abhadresu
Nasta prayishwa bhadrishu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
nityang bhagavata seva
bhagavati uttama sloke
bhagavati uttama sloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge.
In this way, devotee naturally develop his dormant transcendental knowledge.
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
and from the devotees,
and from the devotees,
he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord.
Tadarajastamo bhava
Tadarajastamo bhava
kamalobhadayaschaye cheta
kamalobhadayascha
etar anavidam
etaritarabhidam
stitvam sattve prasidati.
siddham sarve prasidati.
By development of devotional service,
By development of devotional service,
one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance.
one becomes freed from the modes of passion of
And thus
ignorance.
material lusts and avarice are diminished.
And thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
Evam prasanna manaso
Evam prasanna manaso
bhagavat bhakti yogataha
bhagavat bhakti yogata
bhagavat tattva vijnanam
bhagavat tattva vijnana
mukta sangasya jayate.
mukta sangasya jayate.
When these impurities are wiped away,
When all these impurities are wiped
the
away,
candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
the candidate remains steady in his position of pure
becomes
goodness,
enlivened by devotional service,
becomes enlivened by devotional
and
service,
understands the science of God perfectly.
and understands the science of God perfectly.
Vidyate hridaya grantis,
Yati hridaya grantis
chidyante sarvasamsaya,
chidyante sarva samshaya
shiyante chasya karmani,
Yante sachakarmani
drista evat manishware.
dusta evanmanishwari.
Thus Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection
That's the Bhakti Yoga serves a hand of material affection
and enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
and enables one to come at once to the stage of samsham samagrama,
understanding of the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead.
understanding the supreme absolute truth personality of God.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from the devotees in Krishna consciousness
can one understand the science of Krishna.
can one understand the science of Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, verse number 13. Rajo Vacha Aho Vayam Dhanayatam Anripanam
Aho vayam dhanyatama nripanam
Mahatamanu Grahaniya Silaha.
Mahatamanu grahaniya shila
Rajnam Kulam Brahmana Pada Sochad
Ragyam kulam brahmana pada chusam
Durad Virishtam Bhatagarya Karma.
Durad rishistam bhatakarya karma.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The fortunate king said, "Indeed, we are the most grateful of all the kings who are trained to get favors from the great souls. Generally, you," meaning the sages, "consider royalty as refuse to be rejected and left in a distant place." Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. According to religious principles, stool, urine, wash water, etc., must be left at a long distance. Attached bathrooms, urinals, etc., may be very convenient amenities of modern civilization, but they are ordered to be situated at a distance from residential quarters. That very example is cited herein in relation to the kingly order for those who are progressively marching back to Godhead. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that to be in intimate touch with dollars and cents men, or the kingly order, is worse than suicide for one who desires to go back to Godhead. In other words, the transcendentalists do not generally associate with men who are too enamored by the external beauty of God's creation. By advanced knowledge and spiritual realization, the transcendentalist knows that this beautiful material world is nothing but a shadowy reflection of the reality, the kingdom of God. They are not, therefore, very much captivated by royal opulence or anything like that. But in the case of Maharaja Parikshit, the situation was different. Apparently, the king was condemned to death by an inexperienced Brahmana boy, but factually, he was called by the Lord to return to him. Other transcendentalists, the great sages and mystics who assembled together because of Maharaj Parikshit's fasting unto death, were quite anxious to see him, for he was going back to Godhead. Maharaja Parikshit also could understand that the great sages who assembled there were all kind to his forefathers, the Pandavas, because of their devotional service to the Lord. He therefore felt grateful to the sages for being present there at the last stage of his life, and he felt that it was all due to the greatness of his late forefathers or grandfathers. He felt proud, therefore, that he happened to be the descendant of such great devotees. Such pride for the devotees of the Lord is certainly not equal to the puffed-up sense of vanity for material prosperity. The first is reality, whereas the other is false and vain. Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavani Ki Jai. So this is very instructive because it shows that genuine devotees avoid intimate contact with materialistic persons. That doesn't mean they can't go out and preach, but they don't accept intimate contact. Intimate in the sense of associating with them on a regular basis, eating their food, listening to their material desires, etc. They're not interested in that. If a person wants to talk about Krishna or hear about Krishna, the devotee will spend as much time necessary for that. But when the conversation becomes mundane or becomes focused on, how can I make more money? How can I have more sense gratification? The devotee politely excuses himself and goes away. But the devotee is always polite and respectful, but not really interested in the daily preoccupation with sense gratification, as in the case of pound and pence persons, or people who are overwhelmed with the desire to increase wealth for sense gratification. And that is a symptom of devotee. There's several verses in many verses in Bhagavad Gita that explain this wonderful fact. For example, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekaha kurunandana bahusaka hinantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. So this is a very important verse. Prabhupada gave many lectures on this verse, and it is something that he meditated on himself. And this verse says that Vyavasayatmika buddhi, the intelligence of a person who is very, let's say, dedicated to serving Krishna, is resolute in purpose. In other words, highly determined. And the aim of such a person is one, that is to please Guru and Krishna, and also to always remain strictly on the path of Krishna consciousness, in the sense of satatam kirtiyanto mam chitantascha dhrutivataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityamukta upasate. That is, that the devotee is always transcendentally surcharged with hearing and chanting about the opulences and qualities and pastimes of the Lord. So that's an important verse in the 9th chapter. And it says, it describes the life of a devotee. The life of a devotee is dedicated to always chanting the glories of the Lord, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before the Lord, and worshiping the Lord with love and devotion. That is the symptom of the devotee. So you have this resolute determination, to remain on the path always of progressive devotional service, and with unflinching dedication to Guru and Krishna, and with full faith, Shraddha Sabdi Vishwasa Kai, Suhida Nishchai, Krishna Bhakti Kaila Karma Kritahai, Sarva Karma Kritahai. This in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22:62 states that faith, or the Shraddha, it means unflinching trust in something sublime. That means that there might be something that you don't see, but you know it exists. And that is, right now with our eyes, we're not exactly seeing Krishna always. We're not seeing Krishna always. Of course, when we can come and have darshan of deities, we're seeing Krishna. But the devotee that is vivasatmaka buddhi, has fixed, resolute consciousness to serve the Lord, uses all his intelligence to do that, he's always seeing the Lord, because he knows that the Lord exists everywhere, and it's in the heart of every living entity. It's in every atom of the universe. Everything that moves or doesn't move has the presence of the Lord. So, as Paramatma, and then also Krishna is independent of the material nature, and therefore the devotee hears of his transcendental activities of transcendental bliss with his devotees in the spiritual world and in the material world also. So, when one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, such a devotee does not need to act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Now, we explained what those family traditions are. They are things like, in my family, our tradition was every Sunday we would eat chicken. So those type of traditions one should not be attached to at all. One should not pay attention to any of those. And one doesn't have any obligation to nationality or to humanity in general. Like people say, okay, let's go and let's have a Black Lives Matter, and they stand out on the 228th Avenue, and every car that comes by, they hold up a sign, Black Lives Matter, and they say, and they're reciting, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Or they go to Washington, D.C., and they have a riot because they want Trump to be president. Or they go to Washington, D.C. and have a riot because they don't want Trump to be president. So all these things, whether it's a cause of humanity or nationality or family tradition, the devotee avoids that. Right? But he doesn't avoid helping people become Krishna conscious. Those same people that he might avoid because of mundane things, if they're interested a little bit to hear about Krishna, he'll spend the time trying to explain and answer their questions. So fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. So when we do get involved in these type of mundane activities or different schemes for making more money for sense gratification, those are reactions from our past sinful or pious activities. So when one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, where they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. Well, that means that the devotee does not follow the idea that Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Serving mankind is serving God. He ascribes to the idea that serving God is serving humanity. Okay. And then, therefore, Prabhupada says, the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. So one material conception of life is, we have to help the poor people by giving them food. So we'll give them what they want, meat, and onion, garlic, and all these things. We want them to be happy, and send them a bottle of wine on Christmas. That'll really make them happy, and so forth. And take care of their body. Well, no, the devotee will distribute prasadam, but that's something that's been offered to Krishna with love and devotion. It's different than just food. And of course, there's no meat and liquor and so forth. Just like if we had a free food truck for marijuana, how many people do you think would come? Thousands. Every time we go, there'd be a mob, right? So we're not interested in the mob. We're not interested in the mass. We're interested in the class. We want people to be interested in Krishna. Now, then obviously, Manusyanam sahasresu kaschit jati siddhaye jatatam api siddhanam kaschit mam veti tattvataha. There's only going to be a few people interested in spiritual knowledge and even prasadam. Like we don't have hundreds and thousands of people coming to the food truck for prasadam. We have maybe 80, 100, 150, maybe 200. That's it, right? And there's a lot more people around, but they're not that interested. Why? Because they get the sniff, or the smell test. They say, oh, this smells like religion. I'm not going near those guys, right? So, therefore, the resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Saramiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. That Krishna, you are everything for me. That's knowledge. That means we learn about Krishna, and that Krishna is in everything. Everything is within Krishna. Krishna permeates everything as Paramatma, and Krishna is still aloof from everything, enjoying his transcendental pastimes with his devotees in the spiritual world. He doesn't have to individually manage the material world. He has his expansions, the Vishnu expansions that do that. So, a person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva, or Krishna, is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches, so by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. So this is a very important purport. 2nd chapter, 41st verse. And Prabhupada gave many lectures on this verse, because this is what you would call the essence of Krishna consciousness, to fix our mind always on the Lord. And this is explained also where it says, Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nitya saha tasyaham surlabha parta nitya yuktasya yoginam. So this verse, 8th chapter, 14th verse says, one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Prita, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. That's the point. Constant engagement in devotional service. That way, we get the favor of the Lord. So therefore it says, Nayamatma pravarchanena labyo na medaya bahuna shrutena yami ivaisa renute tanum swam yam evaisha renute tena labhyas tasyaiva atma renute tanum swam. This verse says, the Supreme Lord is not attained by expert explanations, by vast intelligence, nor even by much hearing. He is attained only by one who he, meaning Krishna himself, chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. Well, this is an important verse from the Katha Upanishad and Mundaka Upanishad. the same verses there in both Upanishads. Basically, it says that Krishna consciousness is not causal. Causal means I did this, I did that, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. Therefore, I should get the mercy of Krishna. No. It's not like that. Doing things is good. It's not bad. Doing things in devotional service is very good. But it's not because I did these things that Krishna is obliged to reveal himself to me. So therefore it says, this verse, especially this verse 8:14, Ananya Cheta Satatam, describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation have also been described: karma yoga, jnana yoga, and hatha yoga. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga, without any mixture of jnana, karma, or hatha. As indicated by the word ananya cheta, in pure bhakti yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahmajyoti or salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called niskama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. Whereas a jnana yogi, karma yogi, or hatha yogi has his own selfish interests. A perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, he's easy to obtain. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. So therefore, Prabhupada says, Bhakti Yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, he is especially inclined toward those who always serve him without deviation. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways, as stated in Vedas, Yam evaisha vrinute tenulab yas tasya atma vrinute tanam swam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as he is, and as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam Tam, the Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in the spiritual kingdom. So you see, this is a very important verse, 8:14. It explains devotional service. And when there's some impediment due to, let's say, some material attachment in the life of a devotee, then Krishna gives him his super mercy, Yasyaham anagrinami harishetan danam sanair. He takes away all his material opulence, puts him in destitute situation. And therefore, Isha Vidvam Sita Sisam. The Lord destroys one's material opulences, but enriches one in spiritual understanding. So if we lose everything, we should understand that the Lord is giving a special mercy to us so that we increase our spiritual understanding so that we can go back to Godhead. These are all precious instructions, but materialists hearing this would become very disturbed. Very, very disturbed. Therefore, there's more interesting information about this. There's a very nice verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 9.463. Aham bhakta paradino hi asvatantra eva dvija sadubir Grasta Hirdayo Bhaktir Bhakta Jana Priya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent, because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the cores of their heart. What to speak of, he says, my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the cores of their hearts. What to speak of my devotees, even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. So this is a very important verse, 9.463. Basically it says that the devotees are anya bilasita sunyam jnana karmadya navritam anukulyena krishnana silanam bhakti uttamam. They have no other desires they have no material desires at all in the heart. The only desire is to think always of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and how to serve him best. And because of this transcendental qualification, the Supreme Lord is extremely favorable to the devotees, indeed not only to the devotees, but also the devotees of the devotees. So that's who we are. We are devotees of the devotees of the devotees of the devotees. Gopi Bhartar Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa. That's who we are. We're the Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa, the servant of the servant of the servant of the pure devotees. So Narottam Das Thakur says, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payecha Keva. Without being a devotee of a devotee, one cannot be released from material entanglement. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu identified himself as Gopi Bhartar Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa. He instructed us to become not directly servants of Krishna, but servants of the servant of Krishna. So therefore, Brahma, Narada, and Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami, these are all direct servants of Krishna. But we should be not direct servants of Krishna, but servants of the servants of Krishna. So devotees like Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami, Narada, Vyasa, and so forth, and the 6 Goswamis, they are absolute pure devotees. And Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaurkishore Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, they are unalloyed devotees. So we should become servants of Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharyas. So, therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasadana Nagatir Katopi Tayam Stutvam Stasya Yasyasti Sandam Govindam Adipur. And then, in other words, he says that unless one gets the mercy of the devotee, one cannot get the benediction of Krishna. Without the mercy of the devotee, one is completely devoid of any, let's say, benefit in devotional service. So if one sincerely serves a spiritual master, Krishna certainly becomes favorable to such a devotee. Following the instructions of a devotee is more valuable than following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. So this is all in Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.63. So here we see that Lord Chaitanya gave the example. Just like in this verse today, it says that Maharaj Parikshit says that normally great devotees do not associate with dollars and cents people that are wealthy people, powerful people like kings and things like that, presidents and politicians and so forth. They stay away from them. They consider them, they consider even royalty as refuse, to be rejected and left in a distant place. Just like normally in India, previously the houses were always built in such a way that there was no toilet in the house. You'd have to walk outside away from the house to get to the toilet. And that's proper as far as hygiene goes. I visited houses in Bengal. The toilet is outside. And it's not like a running water toilet or anything like that. It's a elevated platform, and you poop and pee, and you see it fall down this long shaft into a walk. And once a week or twice a week, two men come, and they pick up the walk, and replace it with another walk, or they empty it into something and then put the walk back. So that's far away from, I mean, when I say far away, it's at least 20, 30 feet away from the house. Right? And it doesn't even touch the ground there. Right? It's not like there's a septic tank in the ground. It's taken far away. It's outside, I think it's outside of, where was it? It's outside of the town or the outside of the village. Okay, so in the same way, devotees in general avoid the association with wealthy people or powerful people. And this is nothing just for devotees. Lord Chaitanya himself refused to meet with King Prataparuda. And I'm going to read a little bit about this. We still have some time. When King Prataparuda returned to Jagannath Puri, he called for Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When the Bhattacharya went to see the king offered him respects and made the following inquiries. So he considered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya his guru. The king asked, have you submitted my petition to the Lord Chaitanya? Sarvabhauma replied, yes, with much endeavor I have tried my best. Yet, despite my great endeavor, the Lord would not agree to see a king. Indeed, he said that if he were asked again, he would quit Jagannath Puri and go elsewhere. Hearing this, the king became very unhappy and, greatly lamenting, began to speak as follows. The king said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has descended just to deliver all kinds of sinful, low-born persons. Consequently, he has delivered sinners like Jagai and Madai. Alas, has Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incarnated to deliver all kinds of sinners with the exception of a king named Maharaja Prataparuda? So in the purport, Prabhupada says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is thus described by Narottam Das Thakur, Patita Pavana Hetu, Tava Avatara, Mosama Patita Prabhu na Paibe Ara. If Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended to reclaim sinners, then one who is the most sinful and lowborn is the first candidate for the Lord's consideration. Maharaj Prataparuda considered himself a most fallen soul because he had to deal with material things constantly and enjoy material profits. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's business was the deliverance of the most fallen. How then could he reject the king? The more fallen a person is, the more he has the right to be delivered by the Lord, provided, of course, he surrenders unto the Lord. Maharaj Prataparuda was a fully surrendered soul. Therefore, the Lord could not refuse him on the grounds that he was a worldly pounds, shillings man. And he continues, Alas, has Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made his advent deciding that he will deliver all others with the exception of me? He bestows his merciful glance upon many lower class men who are usually not even to be seen. This is a verse in the Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. Maharaj Prataparuda continued, If Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is determined not to see me, then I am determined to give up my life if I do not see him. And Prabhupada explains, a devotee with Maharaj Prataparuda's determination will certainly be victorious in advancing in Krishna consciousness. Sri Krishna confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 9:14. Satatam kirtayantu mam chitantascha dhritarata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. That's a translation of this 9:14 verse. These are the symptoms of a Mahatma engaged in the Lord's service, in full Krishna consciousness. Thus, Maharaja Prataparuda Pratapuruda's determination is very much exalted and is called Dhiravrata. Because of this determination, he was finally able to receive Lord Chaitanya's direct mercy. So that verse says, Satatam kirtayantamam chitantascha dritavata. Dritavata. Dritavata means with full conviction, with determination, with unwavering attention. Then he continues, King Pratapuruda continues, if I do not receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, my body and my kingdom are certainly useless. And purport, Prabhupada says, this is an excellent example of Drita Rata, determination. If one does not receive the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one's life is defeated. In Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.5 it is said, Parabhavas tavad abodha jato yavan na jignasata atmatatvam. Unless one inquires into spiritual life, everything is useless. Without spiritual inquiry, our labor and the object of our labor are simply a waste of time. Hearing King Pratapuruda's determination, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became thoughtful. Indeed, he was very much astonished to see the king's determination. In purport, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was astonished because such determination is not possible for a worldly man attached to material enjoyment. The king certainly had ample opportunity for material enjoyment, but he was thinking that his kingdom and everything else was useless if he could not see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is certainly sufficient cause for astonishment. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that bhakti, devotional service, must be unconditional. No material impediments can actually check the advancement of devotional service, be it executed by a common man or a king. In any case, devotional service rendered to the Lord is always complete, despite the devotee's material position. Devotional service is so exalted that it can be executed by anyone in any position. One must simply be drita, vrata, firmly determined. Finally, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, my dear king, do not worry. Because of your firm determination, I am sure that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy will definitely be bestowed upon you. Purport. Due to King Pratapuruda's firm determination, the Bhattacharya predicted that the king would receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy without fail. As confirmed elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19.151, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. By the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, one gets the seed of devotional service. The Bhattacharya was the spiritual master of King Pratapuruda, and he gave his blessings to the effect that the Lord would be merciful upon the king. The mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna combine to grant success to a devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed by the Vedas. Yasya Devi Parabhakti Yata Devi Tata Guru Tashyate Katita Artak Prakasante Mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports or all the meanings of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Sritasvatara Upanishad 6.23. Maharaja Pratapuruda had firm faith in the Bhattacharya, who declared Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Having firm faith in the Bhattacharya as his spiritual master, King Pratapuruda immediately accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Lord. Thus he began worshipping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mind. This is the process of devotional service. According to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 9.34, Manmana bhava mat bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mam ivaisisi satyam te pratijan mam ivaisisi yuktvaevam atmanam tatparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. This process is very simple. One need only be firmly convinced by the spiritual master that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one decides this, he can make further progress by thinking of Krishna, chanting of Krishna, and glorifying him. There is then no doubt that such a fully surrendered devotee will receive the blessings of Lord Krishna. Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explains this further. Well, anyway, we'll stop right there. We can continue a little bit more tomorrow. You can see what is the symptom of a person who is going to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And that is what we should be striving for, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That is, that the Lord will reveal himself progressively as we surrender to him. And as we surrender, we become more and more enlivened in devotional service. And all the different types of material desires that overburden the mind gradually go away, and we become fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness without any deviation of the mind to other things. Of course, we have obligations, family, children, and so forth. We can easily provide for them by having a pure mind and pure desires to please the Lord. Because we'll be regulated in devotional service, so we can regularly see the deity in the morning, bow down, worship Tulsi Devi, hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, have some prasadam, and then we can do all the other things that we have to do because of that regulated life based on Krishna consciousness. So we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? Huh? Oh, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 11, and starting from verse 41. And it goes on.
Maharaj, one question.
Speak in the microphone loudly.
So Maharaj, in the end of this purport, if you can elaborate a little bit more on that he felt proud, therefore that he happened to be the descendant of such great devotees. Such pride for the devotees of the Lord is certainly not equal to the puffed up sense of vanity for material prosperity. So some time back we learned that devotees even not spiritually pride as well. They don't have a spiritual pride as well. So they are like thankful to Guru and
they
Krishna.
don't have pride, mundane pride, not spiritual pride. There's
So
a
this
difference. It's always a difference between something that's mundane and something that's spiritual. All right? So if there's something that is in this world, it's contaminated. But the same thing in the spiritual world is pure. Just like if you philander with some other woman that's not your wife, that's a horrible thing. It's disgusting. But yet Krishna is dancing with the gopis, and all the gopis, most of them are married. But that's wonderful. Now this is what stops a lot of people from understanding Krishna. A lot of people say, I don't want to worship Krishna. You're philandering, running around with other people's wives. I want to worship Rama. You stay loyal to his wife. But even Rama, he sent his wife away. So I'm not so great about Rama either. Maybe I should just stick with Shiva. So, these are stumbling blocks for materialistic people. But if there's something in this world, we should understand that those categories exist in the spiritual world also, but in a pure state, based on pure love for Krishna. So, therefore, if there's sex in this world, there's no need for sex in the spiritual world because everyone's eternal, right? You don't have to procreate. But there is purified sexual relationships in the sense of movements of the eye, the eyes, of body language, and different things like that, that one feels ecstatic pleasure hearing the Lord, serving the Lord, and with the idea of amorous love. But it's not a physical thing like it is in this world. It's based on exchanging deep emotional states of loving affection. See? So we don't understand these. I don't understand it either, but I'm trying to explain that whatever categories exist in this world, exist in the spiritual world also. Like, for example, if you say, well, are there bars and liquor drinking in the spiritual world? No. But there is nectar in the spiritual world. You know, that makes a person more Krishna conscious. What is a nectar? It's like hearing the flute of Krishna and tasting the embrace of Krishna, or seeing Krishna dancing. You know, so there's nectar in the spiritual world, but it doesn't have to be intoxicating liquor, right? So the categories that are in the material world, like, you know, there's trees and there's mountains and there's fish and there's rabbits, all that exists in the spiritual world. But there's no illicit sex, there's no gambling, there's no meat eating, there's no intoxication, there's no disease, right? There are no hospitals. But, you know, if there's someone, like, if Krishna is not feeling well, his mother will chant some mantras, or she'll give him milk, or she'll bathe his body with cow dung and cow urine, you know. So, I mean, there is cure, but the cure is loving affection rather than, you know, penicillin or whatever. So you see, the categories, the same categories in the material world are present in the spiritual world, but the downside is not there. Okay? So there is such a thing as spiritual pride. He's proud of being born in a family where his forefathers and grandfathers were all pure devotees. Right? He himself is extremely humble, but he realizes by the purity of his ancestors, he has imbibed those qualities also, and because of his connection to them, all these great sages have come.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.